All right. Welcome, listeners. Another edition of Getting Back to the Basics for our schools and ourselves. And today we have two amazing educators joining us. We have Sherri Morris and Angel Siegling. So thank you so much, ladies, for being here. And you are chosen for the chapter called Staying Without Burning Out. What does it take to stay and still feel whole? And I think when the listeners hear your story, they're going to be like, what? Did I hear that right? And I would love for you to take a moment, introduce yourselves, and tell them how long did you stay in education and you didn't get burned out?
Okay, well, my name is Angel Siegling, and this is my 38th, or it was my 38th year in education whenever I decided to retire. And I was just having too much fun and enjoying it so much. I really felt like I was continuing to make a positive difference.
Mhm.
I have been a fourth grade teacher, fifth grade teacher, always a teacher,
Yeah.
and assistant principal. And what's a little different about me too is I was at the same school, which is almost unheard of, but I really surrounded myself with some great relationships. And I think that that is key, enjoying what you do and having fun. And I just continued to have fun. And I felt like the relationship piece with our teachers, hiring well, being around people that were positive and continuing to learn with our staff, all those things just kept me wanting to stay.
Yeah.
And so finally, I decided year 38 that it was time to go ahead and turn those reins over to somebody a little bit younger. But I'm still working, and I will continue just because as educators, we have a
Yeah.
um, passion for kids.
So I just want to reiterate that number for our listeners. Three tens and eight ones, 38. And you're right, to be in the same building that long, that is unheard of. And especially to be able to grow from a teacher to an AP to a principal, that's amazing. How about you, Miss Sherri?
Hi, I'm Sherri Morrison. I was a special educator for 42 years. And I know, wow, yeah. Um, I did, I did, I was, my primary teaching was for students with intellectual disabilities. But my first 6 years was in another county, and that was students with orthopedic disabilities. So I did 6 years there. And then when I went to a different county and the school that I was taught in, I was in the same classroom for 36 years. So that's hard. I mean, you know how you principals are, you all changed.
Mhm.
But
All
I
right.
was fortunate they didn't move me. But anyway, so I did that. And so why? I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you both spoke to the whole passion part of that. 42 and 38. Like if we did some mental math there, ladies combined, you're like 7 decades worth of knowledge sitting on that couch right there together. And the beauty is you live in the same area, but you didn't know each other before camp.
That's true.
We
Yeah.
did it. And that's what's so great about Camp Explorer is all of the networking. We were able to meet each other and share ideas, not only with each other, but so many people who were at camp. But
Yeah.
Sherri and I, we are good friends now.
Yes, we are. In fact, one camp we went to, it was in the mountains, and I
Uh-huh.
meant to bring it today because and she bought me this little baby bear. And
Uh-huh.
I wanted to say that you meet some very good friends, at Camp Explorer.
I love
Look what
that.
I have. Look what
You
I
have the bear. Ah!
have one too, a little bear. You do have some very good friends. You two even ended up being roommates at some of the camps. And let's
Yeah.
clarify for the listeners, you are not in a tent out in the woods. You might be in a cabin or you might be in a hotel, but you don't have
Glamping.
property.
Glamping.
We're glamping.
Yes.
That's right.
Always.
That's right. Well, the two of you never looked at your journey as a number. I can remember, and I shared this on another podcast, when I was maybe in my third or fourth year of teaching, and the district came in to talk to the staff about retirement and next steps. I was like, what's that? Like it was so far off that I couldn't even wrap my head around it, right? And depending on what state you're in, there is a magic number. And, the state we're in, it's 27 or 28, I don't even know, but you're far past that. And so, you never looked at it as a destination or an expiration date. You just continue to serve for the reasons you said. You had a passion for it. You love what you were doing. You had relationships. You still felt like you were making an impact. And we just wanted to honor the two of you in this chapter because you said it, Angel, we're not done. We're still working. And so we at Camp Explore are honored that you included us in your retirement plan. You come and you help out with camps and you still get to teach and be around educators and just share your years of wisdom. So for that, we thank you and we celebrate you. It's really sad about teacher turnover and admin turnover in today's day and age. So for them to hear from two veterans that just you kept the passion inside of you. So we are thrilled to have you here. Let me kind of digress just a little bit. And because you came to camp when you were still active in your roles, Sherri, you were still in that classroom, and I've been to your classroom. You were still in that classroom. That's amazing. 36 years. Wow, I can't even wrap my head around that. Can you, Angel? Like
Yeah. I know, in the same place. So all of her former students could come
uh,
back to the school and go to the same room and find her.
you wrap my head around that. So you were still in the classroom. Angel, you were still in the principalship. So, Angel, help me remember, did you come to a teacher camp and an admin camp when you were a
Came
principal?
to admin camp with my coach and with my assistant principal.
Okay. And then your coach came to teacher camp.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Okay.
I had some teachers come to teacher camp as
That's
well.
right. Okay. And Sherri, you came with some fellow teachers to teacher camp, and your fellow teacher friends went on to be teacher of the year, and now they're in admin. So we get to stay in contact with them. But maybe if you could share with the listeners, what were some of the strategies that you learned at whichever camp you went to that you were able to take back and implement in your role? And what about those strategies spoke to you and made you want to take them back and implement them in your role?
Well, I well, we were talking about this before that, you talk about the mindset, the tool set, the skill set. So each of those brought something. And what I really appreciated about Camp Explore was about you care about the teachers. You want to
Mhm.
have good teacher wellness. So if the teachers take care of themselves by doing all those fun activities outside of school, then you'll be better prepared to handle what you have in the classroom. But you also brought in the funness part into the classroom because if you're having fun, then the kids are going to have fun and therefore learning is going to take place. So, but I did have specific things. We did the get it method.
Mhm.
I think there was a cheer to go along with that. Um,
Get get it, get it, got it, good. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, got it, good. Yeah, there was a little cheer. You're right.
Yeah. So I use that really to help start replanning the fun part into my classroom. And so that helped. You grab them and you do the experience it, and then you tie it all together. But things like we talked about the different activities that you had in the classroom, and like I would use Hop to It. I would use the big thing that I used in my special ed classroom was the voice and choice board. So we had our theme for the month, and then they had their board, which had like 9 activities. You could play bingo with it, but mine just had to get it all done. They had a month to get it done during a certain time each week that they could get something checked off. And that included activities that we'd done in classroom, or, art activities or game activities. We would do, that was probably the big thing that I implemented in my classroom. Now, I did camp 3 years before I retired. So 3 years of putting it in there. But after I left the classroom, I did a little subbing, and I would go into a classroom and I took in one of our games that we had was Battleship. And so I was just helping the teacher. I was in the classroom because it's IEP time, and there was another teacher missing. And so she had all her IEPs. So they pulled me in just to help in the classroom. And so she gave the bad thing.
That ugly word, that
Oh,
really ugly
yeah.
word we want to stay away from, that doesn't grow dendrites.
Right.
It's not engaging. at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And they would just sit there with the pencils tapping like this. And I asked the teacher at the end of the day, I said, do you mind if I bring in a game to play with them? I said, you're working on some math facts here? And she goes, yeah, yep. So I brought in, can I say the name of the game?
Yeah, yeah.
Battleship.
Uh-huh.
That was just for, Camp Explore, and they were working on, I mean, you can do it with all,
Awesome.
addition, subtraction, multiplication. Anyway, so I brought that in, and they were just like on it the whole time. They didn't put their pencils down to figure out, that,
Yeah.
oh, I got to do these 10 problems. They did like 20 problems. And I said, see, this is just an example how engaging you can have with your students with some of the strategies. So
Yeah. Wonderful.
thank y'all for that, because that just made learning more fun.
That's
Mhm.
right. And Sherri, we pride ourselves at the teacher camp that we are a K-12 model, and it's very rare that people can even wrap their head around how is what a kindergarten teacher going to work in a 12th grade chemistry class. Well, it does, because a best practice and a high yield strategy are applicable to all grades and to all subject areas. But I think you take us a step further, and it is also applicable in a special ed setting. The strategies lend themselves because the scaffolding and the higher order thinking and the differentiation is all built into the strategy. So it's not, oh, that's a regular ed strategy and that's a special ed strategy. It really can be adapted. And that is not something that people that have joined teaching in the last 5 to 10 years have a lot of background knowledge around. So we love that when you come and you help out at camp and you bring your experience and say, well, when I use this with my special ed kids, that they can see the validity of that it is that true total spectrum. So thank you for that. Yeah.
I will say that with the PD,
Mm-hmm.
I've been to many PDs in my teaching career. I probably can count on one hand, or maybe just a few fingers, how many that I actually could apply to the classroom, because most of it was like, oh, we have to go to this PD, on the work days, and I'll sit in there and they're talking stuff that are way up here that there's no way that I'd be able to apply it to my kids. So that's what, like you said, it's K-12, and it goes through. Even the fine arts can the PE teacher and music teacher, they can all apply it to their situation as well.
And you can take it back the very next day and use it.
That's right. That's right. So Angel, what about you attending the admin camp with your whole admin team, right? Camp is better with friends.
Yes.
What did y'all take back? Because you had other initiatives going on in your building, right? And we always try to approach it with this is not in competition with any other initiative that schools have taking place. This is to support your own leadership acumen so that you'll be effective with all your initiatives.
Right. Absolutely. What I loved so much about camp is being able to bring my team with me. And
Mhm.
that really just set us up for the beginning of the school year, really for the entire school year, because as I spoke earlier about the relationship piece, which is so important, and being able to get away with them, and y'all have built-in planning time. So
Mhm.
we were able to talk about each of the activities and then talk about how we were going to take those back. And I would get my whole back to school week completely planned with different team building activities that we could take away and bring back. And that was just a really beautiful piece for us not to be only, to not only be away and be able to build that trust with one another, but it was so meaningful to be able to come back with a concrete plan, which a lot of times once you come back and get into everything, that's so difficult to make that time to sit down and to do that. And
Mhm.
so it was just really valuable for us. And with my coach as well, bringing back all of the different instructional strategies that she could, introduce to our different teachers and PLCs. And I would take some of these things back, especially like these team building activities, some of the minute to win it, I call them, but some of those team building activities, and we would build those in not only on that first week, but we know how important it is to do those team building activities all throughout the entire school year because you have to take care of your people. Just like Sherry earlier, she was talking about wellness and balance is so important. And I know has been for both of us staying in the profession because if you don't have that balance of work and school, I mean, work and personal life, then you won't last. And so that was really great for us. I know that we did the those little spirit ribbons. We had the spirit ribbons that I brought back, and we would tie on our different spirit ribbons, every time whenever we would have PD or a faculty meeting. And it just it just brought everybody into that positive realm. Ooh, I want to answer this because I want another spirit ribbon for my team. And we did spirit sticks, all these things came from camp. But I love the movement with the PD because we all know about brain research. And whenever kids are moving or adults are moving, then we are learning better. So being able to bring that, the studies on the generations, so helpful, so helpful because over the years, things have changed. We have so many different generations within our school. And again, as a building principal, it's my job to take care of my people. And how better can I do that than to help them understand one another?
Absolutely. Just hearing y'all walk down memory lane of the things that you have taken away and put into to practice just have warmed my heart. And the the beauty of everything you shared with around the wellness, that is the part that is so missing. Like it was kind of hyper focused on after COVID, but most of that effort and energy was making sure that kids had that social and that emotional support. And some schools and school districts did a great job of recognizing that the teachers needed that as well. But the need's never gone away just because we got past COVID, right? And so part of sustainability as educators is finding that precious balance that you talked about. You both spoke to it. And so Sherri, you also mentioned that what you felt like set us apart was that you could take into your classroom and implement. And that was going to be my next question to the two of you. With over 70 years between the two of you going to PD, what does set it apart? Like if you were to bullet that out, like these three things I never experienced in any other PD. Because I think our listeners, why they think they can wrap their head around it, they might not. We always say you don't know till you come and experience it because there's nothing else like it. But what would you tell them sets us apart from any other PD they could have gone to?
Well, just the activities that you
Mm-hmm.
have. But I think another for me was the fireside chats.
Mm-hmm.
So those are
Yes.
monthly meetings, virtual meetings. You can come in your pajamas if you want to, because
Yeah.
and be ready to play some games because that's what you're going to do. You're going to be interactive with that. And I think also maybe, we have support with admin and stuff at our schools, right? But having Campus Floor was a different kind of support because if you really, there was a problem in your classroom, you
You
could
could
duke
do
it out.
that.
Yeah, you could talk about it in fireside chat and come up with some activities that maybe would help that, or just it, help with the mental part of it and the relaxation part of it and the continued challenges. I love a good challenge now. Challenges, monthly challenge that you would try again the next time. And I feel that that's probably the biggest thing about Campus Floor. It just gave you that extra monthly meeting, maybe 30, 40 minutes, and
Uh-huh.
you could be out of there. But you learn so much in those fireside chats.
Right.
You just gain that inner push that you needed. So thank y'all for that.
Some of
Thank
our
you for always showing up. You were such a good
you
listener. And so we try to say it's not a one and done. Like we want to partner with you for the whole year and review learning, introduce new learning, but also have fun and to see people see their faces, reconnect with them. And you're right. We would love when a teacher would say, I tried this, but didn't quite go just right. Well, how about this, and this? And then they would come back the next morning and they're like, oh, or the next month, it worked, and having a sounding board to talk through. I love that. How about for you, Angel? What do you think sets it apart?
well, being a former principal, I loved how everything was research based. And
Mhm.
y'all always told us what the research said. So there was something to back it up, concrete, that we could take back because everybody wants to know what's that why?
Mhm.
What's that why? Why are we doing this? What is this? And we have the research right there. And I've never really seen that in another setting, in another PD setting. Also, the networking piece,
Mhm.
just being able to network. And whenever you go to camp year after year, or whenever you're in the fireside chats each month, then you see those familiar faces and
Yeah.
you can network with those people. And there were so many people, other principals that I'd say, oh, I love that idea. I want to get that down. What's your email? And so throughout the year, we were able to touch base. They were able to send me things, vice versa. And so that was really big. And then the gamification.
Yeah.
I love whenever we are learning and it is tied into a game. And teachers love that. Earlier Sherri was talking about hop to it. Well, I did hop to it whenever our handbook at the beginning of the year. Okay. So we're up there, all hopping like a frog on our lily pads. And it was so much fun rather than just the old sit and get. So then I could introduce that strategy and say, okay, take this back to your classroom because you can do this in any subject. So it allowed me as a principal to bring different instructional strategies back, mold them into what I was doing in the principalship, but then talk about how we could make that instructional back into the classroom. So many reasons how Camp Explorer is different from other PDs, but you don't believe it until you're there. And oh, also, I love the excursions. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Going kayaking and I was scared to death, but it was wonderful. And here's me and my coach out there, all part of team building, right? And in beautiful Charleston. So had
Or
the rafting,
zip lining.
zip lining. So you do different activities at camp, wellness activities that cause or help us with that trust and with that team building, with those connections.
We can't forget our favorite yoga instructor either.
Oh,
Amazing yoga.
that's right. Dana does some beautiful.
Had a boot on the whole
Yeah.
summer, and it was very hard to do yoga in a boot, but you always show up on the mat, and that's the main thing, right? So namaste, absolutely right. Was there anything else you were going to share, Angel? I didn't want to cut you off.
No, that was all. I
Well,
think for our principals, I would like to tell them to really consider, bringing their team or at least their assistant principal coach and coming to Camp Explore. And earlier, I was talking about trust and how important that is. But hopefully, whenever that trust is built, and we talk about teacher trust all the time, but with principal trust, then you can start delegating more. And all that helps with that balance, because if we don't delegate as principals, then we won't survive.
Right.
Yeah.
I have an update for you. So, at our one of our last summer camps, so depending on which camp you come, right? You talked about that networking. Sometimes we call them their camping buddies, sometimes they're their hiking buddies, sometimes they're their critter partners, but you are matched up with another camper to go and learn through some stations and things. And I have an update for you about your critter friend, your partner from camp last summer. You got to see him just bloom into this different person in 3 days. And he has continuously showed up for fireside chats. He shares the things that he's applying in his building. And so he will be one of our podcast guests. But my favorite quote that he said was, I was ready to walk away from education, and Camp Explorer saved me. And I mean, if that's not a powerful testament, but you truly saw where he was feeling disconnected and he had lost his passion, and you got to help bring that balance back for him. But not only did he stay in education, he is nothing like, I call him Smiley, because every time I see him now, he's just smiling. He's like, my mindset was getting in my way, and it turned me around. It gave me this new vision of what education is supposed to be. And he said, I've had the best year he has ever had in education. And so I wanted to share that update with you. And when his podcast airs, I hope that you'll be able to go back and watch him. And I wanted you to know you were part of that turnaround story for him, because you made a great partner at camp. And so I'm hoping our listeners truly get a feel for what this could be for them. It's nothing they've ever experienced. And so whether you're a first year principal and you're still trying to figure it out, or you're a 36-year classroom teacher that's still in the same room, but you're willing to learn, or whether you're a person of 38 years in the same building, we never stop learning. We never stop learning. And that's what has allowed you to stay and continue to serve in the field of education. So we honor you and we thank you. Any last words of wisdom for any listener or potential camper that's out there? Any words of wisdom from you ladies before we sign off?
would say, as you talked about the mindset, that
Mhm.
it really is about the mindset and how you choose to attack your problems. And I don't use the word problem in my room. I use them as challenges because I felt like, you know, you have your behavior kids that are like off the chain kind of thing. But oh, Sherry, you're gonna get this kid. Well, it
Mhm.
depends how you attack the challenge.
Yeah.
So, and I was telling her earlier that one of my favorite mottos in my SPED team had this for a long time. It's called the Life is Good theme. And
Mhm.
I drink coffee out of this cup every day. It's life is good on one side. On the back side, it says, do what you like and like what you do. So
Uh-huh.
as long as you look at the positive side of that, and then I think that teachers could stay in the system for a long time.
Yeah, because
My
it's easy to find the stuff that's not positive, and it actually takes more brain power to go to the positive because we are negatively hardwired with our emotions, and so it takes a little bit of effort and energy. But if you can master that mindset, life can be so good. You're right, life can be so good. How about for you, Angel? Words of wisdom.
Speaking to our principals out there, yeah,
Mhm.
it can be a tough job,
Mhm.
but I feel like one of our main, I guess, responsibilities is to grow other leaders and to
Mhm.
grow our assistant principals, not only teachers, but our assistant principals so that they can make a positive difference, so that they can leave a legacy and have fun. Have fun.
That's right.
Try to find joy in every day.
That's
And
right.
I just feel like we had fun. Um, and that's what has kept us resilient and
Yeah.
working. Yeah.
Well, ladies, camp is just a couple of weeks away, and I'm so excited that I'm going to get to see the two of you in person and spend some time with you. But more importantly, hopefully, we're going to be out there and impacting educators' lives together. So thank you for sharing this journey with us. Again, you served way above and beyond, but your passion has not gone away. So thank you, ladies, for joining us.
thank
Thank you, Dana.